It's been a while since I've touched on this topic because it's kind of pointless to me, but let's talk resolution in games. Ever since the PS4 and Xbox One were announced, all you see in every fucking comment section of any gaming video is, oh, that game's in 720p, stupid Xbox, ha 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 ha, or, well, you can't even tell the difference between 1080p and 720p, Sony fanboys, or, don't need to worry about that, PC Master Race, and it's fucking annoying because all of these groups are equally retarded. As a gamer on basically everything, it's time to weigh in on the reality of resolution in games. Before we even discuss the topic, though, I have to ask something of the people who talk about this issue. Is the resolution really this important to you? So important that you have to start flame wars all the time about it? Don't get me wrong, I like a high resolution, and I may upgrade to 1440p once the hardware becomes more affordable, but let's get real for a minute. The resolution is probably the least important aspect of a game. It's not that important. With a few exceptions, gameplay along with a high frame rate come first. You play fucking games, you don't just watch them. And even on the visual front, the resolution is not as important as the art style or even the graphical fidelity of a title. The resolution is literally only how many pixels are being displayed on your screen. That's it. Sure, it matters, and it gauges fairly accurately how powerful the PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U are, which is not so much, but it's so fucking pointless, because arguing about it won't change fuck all. The consoles are out, they're only as powerful as they are, so what the fuck is bitching online gonna do to fix it? And don't fucking say, but you complain about things like microtransactions all the time, goddamn hypocrite! There's a big difference. 1, microtransactions actually break game balance, so they fucking matter, and 2, shit can change prior to launch. The hardware of a console is set, it's never gonna change. If you give that much of a fuck about the resolution and graphics, play on PC. If you're sitting at your TV playing a game, are you gonna really say, this game sucks because it's not 1080p? If you played only on a PS3 or Xbox 360 in the previous generation, you've been putting up with sub 720p for years, and you didn't say fuck all about it back then, because for the most part, you fuckers didn't even know about this shit. I understand that you expect a little bit more from a supposedly powerful console, but it's really not a big deal. The fact that most games are locked at 30 frames per second is a real deal breaker, and that is something you should complain about, because any developer, regardless of what fucking Reddit Dawn would have you believe, can bump down the graphics or resolution and hit 60 frames per second. That's something that matters. Enough of that shit though, let's talk the resolution. There always seems to be this idea that a higher resolution equals a better looking game, but that's oversimplifying it. There's a balancing act that must be achieved with the graphics, resolution, and frame rate. When one goes higher, two go down. So let's use the PS4 as an example. Every PS4 game that's released so far could have run at a hard lock 60 frames per second if the developers wanted to do that, but some developers stupidly chose the resolution and graphics over the frame rate. In the same vein, every PS4 game could have run at 1080p, but the graphics would have taken a hit because the hardware's working overtime to display more pixels on the screen. I could buy a 4K monitor for my desktop and play all my games at 4K, but for them to be actually playable, I'd have to bump down the graphics and textures noticeably. Sure, my image is clear as fuck, but if I have a game that looks like dog shit, all I'm gonna have is clear dog shit. Those of you saying the Xbox One can't handle 1080p are fucking idiots. It can, but the developers obviously did their testing to see what the game would actually look like, and the game would look worse because the compromises that would have been needed to make the graphics look good were obviously too severe. It sucks that the Xbox One or even the PS4 can't really achieve next generation visuals at 1080p 60, but I'd rather play a game that's hard locked at 60 frames per second and looks reasonable at 720p than really clear but play like shit at 1080p 30 frames per second. Understand that I'm not saying any of the consoles are powerful, because they really aren't. If you only own a console, I can understand why you'd be disappointed with the leap, but the resolution is not that important. I'll be honest, I have a hard time going back to 720p because I'm used to playing every game at 1080p, but a good game at 720p is still a good game, and the resolution of third-party games should not be the only factor dictating what console you buy. Of course, if you want to avoid all of this shit, you can play on PC and have the choice, but at the end of the day, it's your call. If you can deal with the lower resolution so long as the game runs at 60 frames per second, you're a normal human being. If it's more important to you than actual gameplay, you need to have your gaming testicles removed because you don't fucking deserve them.